Such is the high stakes in F1 that teams keep their new car concepts under lock and key, with many having to wait for the initial launch date to get a glimpse of their favorite team's livery and car design. But occasionally leaks do happen. Ferrari and Red Bull had their cars leaked, and it now looks like Aston Martin has done the same thing. Aston Martin has high hopes for this season. They've announced the construction of a $240 million three-building racing compound and factory, and have replaced one world champion with another. On top of this, they've been slowly recruiting from all the teams, particularly across the top teams. And yet, even with all this, the 2022 season was pretty dire for Aston Martin, taking the best race result of 6th and finishing 7th of the 10 teams in the F1 Constructors' Championship. If you were Mr. Stroll, you would be pretty disappointed with this, especially if you'd invested as much money as the billionaire has. But let's be honest, I don't think money is much of a problem for the Canadian billionaire. However, it does now look like significant changes are happening at Aston Martin. All was not doom and gloom for Aston Martin in the 2022 season. The team improved significantly after the Spanish Grand Prix, when the Silverstone-based outfit introduced a radical concept change as part of an update package, turning to a philosophy adapted by Red Bull in the start of the campaign. The changes worked a treat, with Stroll and Vettel managing to steer the team to a tie 6th level on points with Alfa Romeo. But as good as these changes are, they do not appear enough, with the Deputy Technical Director Eric Blandin having this to say about the 2023 car. "We took all our learnings from last year's car and applied them to this year's car," he said. "So much of the AMR23 is new, it's completely different from the AMR22. We've changed more than 90% of the parts, and more than 95% of the aerodynamic surfaces are different." Now, anyone watching F1 for a while will know that a complete overhaul of your car does not guarantee success, with many teams struggling with the new technical regulations. Hopefully, a year of learning will have banished the dreaded porpoising that plagued us for much of last season. However, we won't hold our breath, with some teams saying that porpoising will be an issue. According to Eric Blandin, there are certain loopholes that teams can take advantage of as long as they're innovative about it, and it looks like Aston Martin has been with their leaked car. "We've implemented a few clever innovations on the new car. They're the icing on the cake," Blandin said in an interview on the official Aston Martin website. "They're a nice to have, but not a must-have. It's great when you find a small loophole and can use it to your advantage, but it's not often you can base an entire car around it. Instead, it's essential to get the basics right, and then you can add things. We're still determining what these loopholes are that Aston Martin is exploiting, but we'll be honest, the last time we heard about loopholes, it was about the budget cap. We all know how that ended." Rest assured though, if Aston Martin has overstepped its boundaries with these so-called loopholes, and the other teams will let them know. Eric continued, stating that you must be careful with your car design, as you can get boxed in. "When you start a new car project, you identify what your limitations were the previous year and how you can overcome them with the new design, and you define the architecture that will give you the most potential for the future. If you pursue the wrong concept, you can end up boxing yourself in. You can run out of road for development, and that's a very difficult situation to get out of." As innovative as they may want to be, Aston Martin does have a reputation for following the lead of one team, and that team is Red Bull, with the team earning itself the nickname of Green Bull in the 2022 season. Let's be honest, most teams copy a little bit here and there from other teams, but Aston Martin wasn't exactly discreet about it, and it looks like the team has not strayed too far away with their 2023 car, with the leaked car having some similarities to Red Bull again. Aston Martin recently shared footage of Fernando Alonso meeting the team and having his seat fitted. It looks like they have made an error, with one eagle-eyed fan picking up vital new features on the car. One Twitter user in particular, Craig Scarborough, has been deep diving into some of the vehicle parts. The man knows what he is talking about, as he posted on Twitter. First looks at the AMR23. Some key changes are apparent. First off, the roll takes a very square top shape, suggesting more centerline cooling. At this bare stage, it's easy to see the actual V of the hoop inside the inlet. For any new F1 fans, the roll hoop acts as a safety feature for the driver, as we saw with Zhou Guanyu at Silverstone. Its second purpose is it acts as an air intake and cooling for the engine and its radiators. The engine's cooling is crucial in F1, with many teams struggling with this. Only time will tell if Aston Martin is the only team to do this or if all teams have figured this out. This was not the only thing Craig picked up. He also noticed a critical element, the side pod. There's also something going on with the side pod inlet, not quite Red Bullish in shape, but with an upper surface shorter than the lower surface, plus something in front of it, maybe mirror mounting, seen bottom left, as a grey 3D printed object. Now, side pods have been a sticky point for some teams, mainly Mercedes, who've struggled with their design. Maybe the Silver Arrow should follow Aston Martin's lead, only time will tell, but we are pretty sure that Mercedes won't be copying Red Bull with anything. If the side pod inlet, we cannot tell you until the season starts, but we can say that the comparisons with Red Bull will spark controversy in the paddock. As we mentioned, the AMR23 was nicknamed the Green Bull last season, and with Aston Martin's technical director being Red Bull's old head of aerodynamics, there will always be suggestions of copying, as Fallows played a big part in designing the phenomenally successful RB18. This will stoke the argument whether they are Fallows' ideas or Red Bull's, but this argument is for another time. Your car is one key component to your success as an F1 team. Still, another part, and rather crucially, is the driver. Aston Martin has Stroll and Alonso, with the latter coming with an excellent pedigree, having won 2 championships, and the hunger still there to win more. Still, the new Aston Martin driver did have this to say about the team. "No, I don't think I'll accept that, and I won't continue if I don't think we have a chance. I don't know if it's 1% or 10%, but I will only continue if I believe we have a chance," he said in a report for motorsport.com. The Spaniard said he does not expect to win the world title, but maybe in 2 to 3 years at the ripe age of 41. This is interesting for Alonso, as it will make him 43 or 44 before the team can compete. There are other reasons why Alonso has joined. Part of it will be the money, but I think Aston Martin will be drawing on Fernando's racing knowledge to catapult the team to the next level. Mike Crack had this to say about Alonso's age. "You say that he does not have many years of F1 left, but I'm not sure he agrees with that," he told a AS newspaper. The other thing Aston Martin will need to contend with as Alonso is a bit of a diva, which is both a good and a bad thing, as it is driven by him wanting to win and not giving up, with Mike Crack having this to say about Alonso. "I've only heard good things about him," said Crack when asked about these expectations. "You hear stories, of course, but I like to live my own experience, and until now I have only had good relations. I don't expect any problems with Fernando as long as we give him a fast car and we are transparent." I think Mike is right about one thing. They will need to give Alonso a fast car, as the Spaniard has a bit of a reputation for throwing his toys out of the pram if his car is not up to scratch. What do you think about Aston Martin's car? Comment below.